Welcome back to AITSM show, and we are having Sapna Gupta with us. We will explore more insights in this episode. So, how do you see what is the maturity level of current infrastructure or automation COE, and like what kind of things you propose which could actually improvise the COE as well as like IT service management through the use of automation as well as AI, not just chatbot, but using the NLP or prediction mechanisms and all. So,
Yeah.
what is your view on that?
If we see, first let's talk about the automation maturity. I will say from the very high level, it's the task-based automation, which used to be like early days in hype. If we write some script to automate some of the tasks, was itself was a big enough. But
Hmm.
now in the era what we have to take a step ahead. And from the task-based, we are actually moving towards the process, end to end the process. Okay.
True.
And which can actually improve the client experience. Okay. So
Yeah.
now there is a workflow based automation. Okay. And then integrated with different IT services. And then the next layer comes the using the ML and the AI into the automation, so that it's not just a well-defined kind of a things where we are actually writing the code to define a process or the series of the activities or the task. More than that, it can actually identify the problems, apply some of the ML algorithm on top of that, and can make a prediction of the probable issues depending on the historical patterns.
True.
Cargill is an agricultural company, so there are some of the specific months where the certain applications are in use, the agri business months in the
Mhm.
entire year. We know that this time the server may require the high resources to support that kind of a high volume is coming
Mhm.
for the execution. It is better to have some precautionary steps, maybe add more resources or have a kind of a load balancing architecture enabled so that that load is getting distributed without creating the impact on the business users.
True.
Okay.
True.
And that kind of a predictive analysis and the related steps will help actually to provide the seamless experience. Okay.
Mhm.
So this is one example of it. Okay. Now, how we are going ahead on the integrated automation approach is something still I feel we have a very silo mindset. Okay,
Mhm.
so if it is an infrastructure person, he will just talk about his servers or the database or the network. If it is an
Mhm.
application guy, he just have the visibility on the applications, and the same for the middleware as in the each of the teams automation person for that particular service. And that's
Mhm.
how that binding is happening. It's like they understand that particular technology tower, and they also the spot for connecting on the automation part with the central COE, and that's how the practices can be followed. So this is a people part of it.
True.
Another is on the tooling part of it. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, most of the times, every team has separate tools.
Mhm.
Okay, to do the monitoring, to do the automation, to manage their own landscape, the IT landscape. Okay. Now, let's have one a platform kind of a thing. So if we
Mhm.
see many of the organizations, they are going towards the AIOps. Okay,
Mhm.
which mean that it's a single platform which can gather the all the logs and the metrics data from the different monitoring tool and
True.
create a single view. And through that single view, you can understand how this application has the multiple dependencies on the different components and where what has got broken, and it's coming actually appearing in the single view. And that's a kind of a platform which is enabling the integrations of the different tapes. Another example, maybe common platforms could be like Ansible or Jenkins to allow their automation scripts to develop. Okay, so
Mhm.
centrally we have a kind of a platform which is actually giving a flexibility for the different teams to create their scripts and all automation tasks. But all the governance around those scripts or the view we are
Mhm.
managing centrally. And also we
Mhm.
can use the GitHub kind of a repository, whichever the tool you use. But the outcome of that, we are storing centrally at one place so that we can
Mhm.
have the integrated view. Or it could be a data lake or a different ways actually.
Yeah, so you are integrating it on one platform and suggesting like it should be a kind of a AIOps or a one single platform with integrated view with every system, right? And integration with every system available, right?
Yeah.
So from the AIOps perspective, if we go ahead right now, what is its maturity level so far? That AI ops is doing what it should be doing, or there is something more to be done?
So there are many tools in the market offer a lot of AIOps capability, and I feel this is an era where we are integrating all the monitoring alerts and getting a single view. How we can use that integrated view to self remediate some of the repetitive issues,
Mhm.
okay, which is
Correct.
in very common, I will say, the space crunch, okay, which
Mhm.
looks very simple issue.
True.
But when the outages happen because of that, there was a space crunch. Okay,
Mhm.
so how we can actually have the self remediations coupled with the AIOps platform, which can help to address 70-80% of the issues, and all,
Mhm.
so that the engineers, analysts focusing on the rest of the 20% and their
True.
efficiency level will be very high. Okay,
Right,
so
right.
I think that's the level that we have to reach. But yeah,
Mhm.
everything comes with the slow steps. But I know that many of the companies are moving toward it.
Correct, correct. If you have a magic wand or something, this needs to be changed in my area if I can change it.
So I will say the moment we have some requirement, like it all depends, like what is my role. So if I'm a service owner, I
Mhm.
believe that each of the person, the IT engineer or the IT manager,
Mhm.
the first thought should be the like automation. If I have some roadmap for the next year, I want to do XYZ. Now, the automation should be integrated in the plan. How I can ensure this all the repetitive tasks is actually 100% getting automated. And
Mhm.
that's what is the target that each of the IT person, be at the different level, the manager level,
Mhm.
engineer level, or the L1, L2. Okay.
Mhm.
All of the people, they have that mindset. And that's the magic stick I want that change the mindset, because it's not about the tools or the things. It is more about the mindset.
Is there a challenge in your 2 decades of experiences where you have actually successfully solved a difficult problem? So definitely our community would like to hear about like how you have solved that problem or got the success.
Yeah, so I will call out one of my experience, which was not the latest one. It was at the time when this configuration management tool was just appearing in the market. And I was supposed to manage a lot of the servers.
Hmm.
Okay. And every time that one issue used to come, it's like whenever we are rebooting the servers, all the mappings are getting lost. Because the session variables were getting defined, and most of the time the people were forgetting to make the changes which make the entry resistant even after the reboot.
Okay.
Okay. And that was impacting a lot of like application outages, because once the server is up, oh, that application is not working. It has a dependency on some of the mappings of the network. Now, I got that time some scripts created, which was every hour it was taking the snapshot of
Mhm.
those mapping the session variables. Okay.
Okay.
And storing it as a central place. So even if after server is crashed or rebooted, if we have to rebuild or just the server is coming up, and if something is missing, we have some restoration point to refer,
Hmm.
and then just execute that as a script. So it's not just a mapping is getting stored, but it was stored in such a way, in such a script way. We just run it and it will restore those mappings. We don't have a concept of centralized managing on Ansible, Puppet, Chef was not there in the market. We do have a lot of tools, and the major challenge which I face is with the mindset. Now
Hmm.
we are grown up in the technology. You have the problem, the solution is there. 10 solutions are there. We
Hmm.
are into that era now. Okay. The main problem comes, what I face is with the mindset. Like who has certain way of doing from not many years, there's a little resistance for the adoptions of the new way of doing, or maybe a little threat inside. So that's the major
Right.
challenge at which I keep on working.
Right, right. I remember one cartoon which has like some people are having a square wheel and then they are having difficulties, and another person is suggesting a wheel there, but they're saying, no, no, we are busy. We
Yeah,
don't want to change.
exactly, exactly.
Right. So you might have like a lot of things we need to actually make it change, right? So what are your way of dealing with it when you are going for innovation and automation and likewise, and then uh, propagating it?
Yeah, so I believe never drop the ball, consistently put the efforts, and always go with the data. It
Correct.
comes maybe not that speed as you want, but definitely the result comes. So have that optimism, okay, and
Mhm.
consistently work on exploring the different approaches, understand the challenges of the person, why there's a resistance, and
Mm.
try to see if you have the alternative approach where your ask for enabling the automations and their fear for with automation can be addressed. So try to figure out and try to have more conversations about it. That's what I feel works. Maybe it takes some time, but it works.
Great, great. Yeah, it's a useful or valuable. So, as to conclude or just summarize our discussion, right? So, you have discussed about automation, AI, and like what kind of challenges we had and kind of what how we could solve it. So, could you just give me 3 points where you are like not satisfied with whatever is there in automation, or what the 3 things you want to change? Or rather, we can say, what are the 3 things which could be changed, which can actually give automation industry a boost?
Yeah, the first thing is the specifically the budget allocation planning.
Mhm.
Okay, you cannot do the automation without an investment. Okay,
Mm.
and most of the people they have the thinking, if I automate, I should not invest, rather I should save. The saving
Mm.
comes later. First, the investment comes.
True.
Okay, so that is the one thing that every manager they should have in the mind and allocate the budget to enable the automation. Okay. Second thing is like the mix of the blood.
Mm.
Okay. If any of the team has the very experienced people, okay, who has very good experience, but more fond of the way of working of like as they were doing 10 years before.
Mm.
Okay. So like let's have some of the new talent which
Mm.
can enable more
Mhm.
broad discussions and mix of the expertise, the prior experience along with the new technology or the new
Right.
approaches. Okay. So that
Mm.
mix is very important.
Mhm.
Third thing, to limit the number of the tools that you want to use. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean restrict only to one or two. Maybe it's a couple of tools. But the moment we want to bring more and more tools for the automation, so we are moving our focus from doing the automation to the managing the tools, and it
Right.
increase the technical debt in the other
Mhm.
sets. I have automated this by introducing this tool. Another task automated through this tool. And then over the year, maybe you have got maybe hundreds of the tool in your environment, and then it become a challenge to manage that the tools landscape rather than the IT
Yeah.
landscape. Okay, so
True.
we have
True.
to be mindful about it. So I think
Right.
these are the
Right.
three very important points that we should know.
Yes. Yes. And then these are ideas which can help the community to think about these important things. Thanks for being on our show. We learn many things from your decades of experiences, and any last advice, if you are in a room full of people and then there is one advice you could give.
Yes,
Just
I would like to say for the since it is your women specific episode, okay,
yeah.
I would like to say to all the women leaders, okay, so wherever you are in your journey, please keep adding the skills so that you are actually never going out of the date, okay,
Mhm.
and automation is AI ML is definitely the latest thing. Be you the any infra side or the application side or developer side. Okay, please follow all the latest trend into this space. Definitely is going to help in building the more successful and the strong career. Thank you,
Sure.
and thanks a lot, Anand, for giving me the opportunity. Yeah,
Yeah,
I really enjoy talking to you.
yeah. Same here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So, thanks a lot for listening. Please let us know what topics we could add here and give us the feedback. And if you have loved it, please share it generously. Thanks again. Bye bye.